Alright, so I'm gonna get myself together. I gotta see how this looks before I get settled because I know it's like super close. It's super close to the camera, and I don't want it that close because I think it looks a little. Oh my gosh! When it's that close to the camera. So, hold on. Let's see how far up we can get. All right, I think that's pretty good. That's good. We can deal with this. All right, so I've made it. I've made it another day. I've made it again. Hooray! We're still working on our socks, obviously. How much battery do I have on my Fitbit? Ooh, 10%. Which means I'm definitely gonna need to charge this thing here soon. But I'm not gonna do it right yet. I don't think. Like I can, but my thing is over somewhere where I can't reach it. So we're not gonna worry about it. Anyway, here we are working on socks. I stopped in yesterday, and then after I finished streaming Project Time, I took the time, of course, to do a little gameplay, which I actually I need to download that Veja before I forget for like the millionth time, because that's the thing. I like to forget, and then I'm just like, I feel like, hold on. I feel like I didn't do anything last night. like at all, or today. Actually, like the whole damn weekend, honestly. I don't feel like I did anything. I feel like I spent far too much time, you know, doing like one thing, and it felt like a real, not a waste because it needed to be done, but it really feels like I didn't do anything. And if you give me a second, I'll show you what I mean. Like, this is what I was doing all day. And I really was doing this all day. Like, I took some breaks, but I'm not talking about, like, long breaks. I was doing this. I was writing all of that down. That's what I was doing. And it was like, I did that for January through December of this year. That's what I did. And then I set up the what do you call it? I set up the editorial calendar for Patreon for March, and I set up 7 days of, what in the world? I don't know. And I set up 7 days of March, so the 1st through the 7th, so that there was like a daily log for each, so you could see what it looked like. But yeah, like that's what happened. That's what I did all day. I watched all of Ouija. I watched something else. I watched The Silence for like the 8,000th time. I talked to a friend throughout most of it. I didn't take a nap. I'm probably in desperate need of caffeine. I've also had almost no water. I've had like no, I don't think I've had any caffeine today. And that's all. I've just been sitting here writing. So admittedly, my hand hurts, right? From, like sitting here writing all day. Go figure. Big surprise, right? So yeah. But it really feels like I didn't do anything. And I'm a little perturbed about that. Like, it's not really that I did nothing. It's just that I feel like I have so little to show. I feel like that's the case all the time. And then when it came time for me to do the like big picture work, which hashtag homework, right? Biz homework, right? Biz development work, whatever. Which is working on planning. That's what I'm focusing on right now. Yeah, I didn't do any of that because I was still doing this. Like, what the hell? So here we are. I'm finally taking a break. I'm trying to get back into things. I wanted to do this sooner in February, and it didn't work out. So here we are. I mean, better late than never, right? I mean, I guess so. I'm also feeling a little squirrely because of a lot of other things. So I had this huge conversation with one of my coworkers, actually, incidentally, someone who got hired when I did. And every now and then I end up in the same department that they are in. They do not go to all the departments. I do. And so I will periodically see them. And they actually live up the street from me, which is really funny. And I do not make friends with my coworkers because no. Like, that's, like, no. So we're talking. And I'm like, oh no, there's so much of my personality that does not get to show up at work. And they just looked at me like, really? And I'm like, oh yeah, no, there's a lot more, like, to me than y'all see. Like, y'all see me in a uniform. Y'all see me fairly buttoned up for me. And there's a bunch of things that I don't talk about. There's a bunch of things I don't bring up. There's a lot of stuff I keep to myself because of where I work, right? also, like, what I do outside of my work, like, what I do outside of my day job, as far as I'm concerned, is none of my day job's business. I'm not doing anything nefarious. I'm not doing anything illegal. And my personal life and my personal time, with reference to them, is mine. So, none ya. I'm like, yeah, I have 2 websites. I have, a Patreon. I have a couple of YouTube channels. I have broadcast on Twitch. Like, I have a bunch of active social media or social media active might be generous at this point. But I have a bunch of social media for my work. Like, I have a lot of things that I'm doing. And, that's not even my personal life, right? That's not even the wee bits or the doggo or the sad thing that is supposed to be me trying to socialize with other adult humans. Like, none of that comes into it. And, like, I'm busy and I'm doing stuff all the time. And they just looked at me and they were like, oh my God, really? And I was like, yeah. Like, I tone it down for y'all because I need to keep my day job. Like, that's what it comes down to. I tone it down so that, I can continue to, receive access to, like, this money in this place of work. Because there's things that my place of work is going to afford me that I need and want. And so, like, that's what happens, right? And so here we are, right? So, like, I don't talk about my art. I certainly don't talk about, like, my wish work at work. It wouldn't be welcome, and frankly, it's nobody's business, right? So, irrelevant. And I don't feel that my work here interferes with my day job. And, if anything was going to interfere with anything, my day job interferes with my work here. And that's because I have less time to do this, right? Because I'm there. But that's it. That's just what life looks like. That's how it is right now. And so here we are. But it's funny because I also forget, like, you see, like, I wear a uniform, but you see one of my tattoos at work. But, like, I'm, like, half covered. And it's easy for me to forget that people don't realize that. They don't know that. You don't see me with, wild makeup or my colorful clothes or most of my tattoos or half of them out. Like, people don't see me like that. And so it's easy to, I guess it's easier for people to think I'm lower key than I am, which is just hilarious to me. And that's fine. It's like a weird double life that I'm living. That's alright with me. I'm gonna be a super secret squirrel, right? And that's just what it is, right? So, But I'm also super squirrely because my personal life is in this, like, weird stage. There are some things that I would like to be happening that currently are not. There are some things that have happened that I don't necessarily want to continue, and I'm trying to consider how to handle that. And, like, as much as I don't talk about my personal life at work, I do, or, this side of my life, the work I'm doing here, I don't talk about it. I don't talk about it with people I know either. Like, if you're not into fiber arts, if you're not a client of mine, I'm probably not going to talk about this stuff with you because it's not relevant. But because this is the internet and because, at some point it may become apparent, and, like, some people like to go through archives. I'm trying to be mindful of what I say and how I say it. And my thing with it is if you ask me something directly as a rule, I will just answer you. Now, I may pause and say, are you sure you want the answer to that question? Because I think sometimes people ask questions they just don't want to, they don't really want to know, or they want to hear something specific. And I mean, you know, we all have preferences and we have things we'd like to hear, sure. But you have to accept that you may not hear what you want to hear, right? You may get bad news. You may hear something undesirable or not to your preference. And so don't ask questions that you don't want an honest and possibly negative answer to, right? Like that's the thing. And that's what that's where I am right now. Like I'm trying to sort through all of this, and it's a mess. It's a mess because I don't want to call anything yet, right? Like I don't want to call a spade a spade until we're there. And also, I'm always sure of things, you know, like what I think and how I feel about something, but that doesn't necessarily apply to other people, right? Like I know how I feel and what I think pretty much accurately most of the time. But those things still depend on other factors, right? And I don't necessarily have that information, and that information can be either hard to get or hard to come by. And you know, people change their minds. You know, life happens. Was it I met somebody because I found some of their property. I think I've mentioned this person. Wallet, yeah. I found this guy's wallet, and there was a necessary amount of conversation in order for me to return it. Right? I thought the conversation was over then. It wasn't. I thought that was a little weird. I chose to not ask questions. I said, you know what? You're delusional. Don't read into this. Go about your merry way. And at some point, the conversation dropped off, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess the conversation is over. I'm like, that's fine, whatever, right? I did what I set out to do, which was to return the property of this person, and went about my way. And then suddenly I heard from them again, and I was like, well, that's perhaps even weirder. And I really didn't know what to think of that, because I thought to myself, I do not see any purpose behind this person talking to me at this point, because I've returned your stuff, and what more is there like for us to say to each other, right? Now look, and I will maintain this, I do not need more friends. I actually have this whole, it was fun. I think actually friend also is like learning a bunch of stuff about me, and we'll get to that in a minute. Like, I don't need more friends. If I should happen to make additional friends, I mean, that's fine. But I am not going out in the world seeking people to befriend, right? A friend is totally trying to do that. I am not. And I think that's funny, because there's a lot of parallels and overlaps between the two of us, but there are also some like wide divergences. Like, I am good with like the amount of social activity of my life as a general rule. They are not. And so that becomes like a funny thing. And that becomes a point where we're like literally polar opposite, right? So, like, I figured that was done and over with, and apparently it wasn't. And then it wasn't for exactly the suspicion I had, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, that's not where I thought that with the exception of their recent foray into a wild hair color. And by wild hair color, I do mean just like not blonde, brunette, black, or believable red, right? They have always looked very normal, right? Blonde, brunette, reasonable amount of makeup, like not flamboyant or ostentatious or, wild, not over the top. There's nothing about them that screams fucking weirdo. Your friend is a weirdo. Let's set the record straight. Friend is a weirdo. But I'm not. Like, I am, my weird's on the outside. You would not mistake me for any kind of quote unquote normal. It would not. It would not compute. And the funny thing is I think I'm a lot tamer in some ways than people expect me to be, which is kind of hilarious. And I'm a lot more off the wall than people expect me to be in other ways. And I guess some of those things don't seem to make sense. But I mean, that's me. It is me. That is, who and what I am. And so, I don't know. And also, don't judge a book by its cover. You never know what somebody is like. I know plenty of people who have, horrible personal dealings, but decent reputations. And I'm sure that there are people whose reputations are kind of trash, but they're not actually bad people. They just easily might have run aground the wrong person. And some people are vindictive and will go out of their way to trash your name because they can. Also helped by this, I was watching Worst Roommate Ever today, and some of that happened. With one of them where it was the last 2 episodes. I won't spoil it for you, but for all intents and purposes, the person that they were talking about, and this should tell you something, this person got 2 episodes, right? Everybody else got 1. Right? But the person in question, one of the things about this person is, they looked respectable, right? They signaled all of the right things for people to believe and trust them, and then they capitalized on that by, hiding who they were and the kind of person they were until it was too late to, avoid them, right? And so, you never know. You never, just because somebody looks like they check out, that doesn't mean... Right? That doesn't mean anything. And so you never know. I try to be myself, and I try not to mince words about that. I try not to say I am anything other than I am. And sometimes people do not believe me, and they're like, "Oh, you're so nice." And I'm like, I'm just as capable of being a mean ass bitch as anybody else. Now, I don't do so without extreme provocation, right? And my apathy levels are high enough that you really have to push me for me to bother being irritated with you. Because the reality is, you're not worth my irritation, right? Most people aren't. And by most people, I mean nearly no one is worth my irritation. And if something is worth my irritation, it's more likely on principle than it is just personally, right? And that's just, right, that's just me. That's just it. That's just how I operate, how I am. And, here we are. So, yeah. But it's funny the things that the conclusions people draw, the things that you learn about people, the things that you thought were one way, and then you find out, are another way. Like, there's all kinds of stuff. And the reality is, at the end of the day, we're all people. And we're all flawed. And that's it, right? That's it. And everything in context, right? Outside of context, things can look a very specific way. Inside of context, they can look another way entirely. And as a favorite character of mine says, there's your side, there's my side, and then there's what actually happened. And neither side is the whole story or an accurate portrayal of what happened, right? Because the truth is somewhere in the middle, right? And that is the human experience. That is people relating to one another. That is points of view. That is, triggers and trauma and perspectives, right? And there's no accounting for those things, right? So there we are. Now, that said, we're doing pretty good with this. Oh, it's like really sketchy to get this and not like accidentally pull the needles out. I swear these socks are going on forever. This is obnoxious. Like super obnoxious. So here we are. Hooray! Oh no, don't get stuck. So life is life, and that's what we're doing, and that's what's going on. I really want to be done with these socks. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with what is going to happen next. This week is going to be rough. I already know that. It's going to be rough because I'm basically waiting on a bunch of things. And I just, I need those things to happen. There's some things that should have happened already and they didn't happen. And now they've kind of put me in a pickle, which is, annoying. But there's not really much I can do about it except for just hang on. Hang on for the ride. Yeah. I'm trying not to think out loud too much. It's not overly pleasant, and I do not want to trouble or bore y'all. I am of the mind that I'm actually incredibly boring, and there's nothing of import or interest about my life. It's not even necessarily that it's of interest to me, it's just relevant to me, yeah? I think that's a fair statement. So, there's that. But we're waxing philosophical as we are wont to do. That's it. This is so funny. I need to get some sock garters. That needs to happen. I've found some, but I haven't tried any. And it's a bizarre thing to order, and so they're not readily available. I can't go up the street and get some. Not to my knowledge, anyway. Not that I've tried, but everywhere I've seen, it's you can order these from here, and I'm well, that's just great. And I did think, I'm well, maybe you should just make some, and I'm I mean, you could do that, it would make a little more sense to have an idea of how they functioned, like, and how base they function, because, like, just because something is supposed to work a certain way, right, doesn't mean that it does. You know, it doesn't. It does not. that's terrible. I hate to like feed someone's not the paranoia, but like their concern. Mm. Now I'm having this weird conversation. It looks like, so I'm looking at the time. It looks like I started less than 5 minutes into, and 5 past the hour, which is cool. Um, Hold on. Whoa. Mm. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, I'm pretty much grounded. Probably for the week and into next week. Honestly, till I get paid next. That's probably the real answer. Part of me wishes I could go out, but given the crowd, probably not the greatest thing. Oh, I could do some digging. That I think I will do. That's if I can get an answer. I'm nosy. Like facts. I am. I fully understand that I can ask questions and get no answers, and it's not going to hurt me to ask a question. Yeah? Yeah, right? Right. I never expect answers. It's just I either get them or I don't. They're either true or they're not, right? And obviously they can be partially true, sure. Um, you know. I still think I'm terribly boring. Terribly boring. I don't want a high intrigue level in my life, though, like, honestly, so. Yeah, we're gonna be, like, probably just shy of an hour tonight. Because I want to cut it off pretty much at 9. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I'm also probably going to have a conversation with friend after all this. We were talking a good portion of the day while I was working. Wife's getting her surgery tomorrow. She was like, "Are you gonna come see me?" And I'm like, "Probably not." She was like, "What?" And I was like, "Did you want me to lie to you?" She was like, "You won't come see me?" And I'm like, "Do you want me to get into a fist fight?" She was like, "Oh, yeah, no." And I'm like, "There you go. Probably not a good idea." Yeah, she's going to a hospital I don't like. So, also, it's across the river and I don't want to go there for her. Because I don't. And all I'm going to do is fuss at her and be like, "Are you following doctor's orders or are you being an asshole?" And she's going to be like, "Well," and I'm going to be like, "I don't want to hear that shit. You need to do what you're supposed to do so you don't mess up the fact that you just got surgery." I will say if I get an invitation, there's a really good chance that I will scray. Now, I've got this weird song. Was it from like the late 80s or early 90s? Playing in my head for some reason. Like, was it I think maybe it was playing in something like that was like previewing on Netflix. I hope so. Because otherwise, why are we having a time capsule moment right now? I don't know. I also can't make out enough words to even tell you what the song is. I bet you if I ask a friend, they'll know. So I just watched, I just finished I Came By, I think it was. It's a like British thriller. That was so messed up, by the way. Holy shit. I I was not prepared for the level of messed up it was. It had Don't Breathe vibes to it, like just a little bit. Degree of depravity I was not prepared to witness, like conceptually speaking. I guess I should have like caught on to the fact when it was like, oh, something horrible happening. I'm like, I should have listened when it said that, but apparently I didn't. So we got like 2 more minutes, and then I'm gonna scoot and skedaddle. Or about 2 minutes. So probably what's gonna happen is I'm going to finish. I gotta finish this round. Yeah, because it's 2 minutes left till 9. It's 5 minutes left till an hour. I would like to call a friend back before it's too late, so that possibly they will answer the phone. I need to work some stuff out that I can't work out with y'all. And it might actually be 9 by the time I'm done, because it just turned 8:59. I also have words I want to say to my buddy that I'm talking to. Yeah, I think it'll be... There we go. It just hit 9 o'clock. So we're going to finish this. It's killing me how these socks are drying on. It really is. It's like murder. Murder! I also have something I need to do before I call a friend back. I need to hurry up and do it. I keep meaning to, and then I don't, and I forget, and then I mean to, and then I'm like, shit, I forgot again. And yeah, consistency is not my strong point. I know that y'all figured that out. Like, if I don't do things perfectly, I tend to not do them at all. Which is annoying for me as a person. Like, I don't love it. But it happens a lot. So. I also have like something I want to say to the person I'm talking to, because I'm like, this is like some wild shit, because I keep saying something and I keep thinking of this other thing, and I'm like, I don't think that these are the same things. Like, I don't. But I'm not sure. And it would be some wild ass irony if it was. Also, totally complicate the situation. Like, what? I mean, yes and no. Anyway, so here we are. I'm going to get these set up for the next round. Thanks for stopping in and hanging out with me while I chatter and knit. As always, you know, that's what we're about here. Oh my gosh, what is just all tangly? But yeah, a little bit more progress. Like, it doesn't. I think I did like maybe a handful of rows, like rounds. Excuse me. Not enough to write home about. Like, really. It doesn't look like I did anything as far as I'm concerned. But I also feel like I didn't do anything with anything else today. So, there we go. Oop. So I'm gonna scoot. Y'all have a good evening. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, and goodbye.